Welcome back to Breakthrough Conversations. My name is Brett English, and today we've got Wasam Chowdhury joining us in the studio. He is an international spice trader working out of the third world with offices in Jambi, Medan and Jakarta in Indonesia, also offices in Singapore and Dubai. He grew up in Pakistan, Indonesia, Sydney and Perth. He can speak 5 different languages, and he deals with people across the globe in all levels of business, from Thailand, Pakistan, Indonesia, Afghanistan, and has a huge amount of information of what's really going on in the world that we just don't hear or is distorted greatly through our lens of the media. In this case of Wasam, I would definitely recommend listening to this whole thing, saving it on Spotify or on Apple, listen to it in the car, because some of the stuff that he's going to say is going to really expand your mind as to international business and what really goes on. Things like the Taliban, secret billionaires that should be on Forbes that just aren't listed. These are the big boys in the playground you got to look out for. It's interesting to see of how fucking spectacular shit is and how dirty and corrupt it is at the same time. But how to survive when you're playing that game. And there's no one better to talk about that than Wasam, due to the fact that he survived and thrived in the third world in business purely based on reputation alone, which is just a massive test of character, strength, power, and also wisdom. So stick around, guys. You're gonna love this.
We're very honored to have you here. We've gone through some journeys, man. We've gone through some journeys.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
It's an absolute pleasure to be here again. Nearly 3 years, after 3 years. Just touched down in Australia.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Brett.
No worries, man.
It's always a pleasure being around you guys.
Yeah. What was the feeling like coming back home after such a long time?
Look, there was a lot of resentment going on.
Yeah.
I guess towards Perth in general.
Yeah.
I think it was maybe I was trying to tunnel my frustrations out.
Yeah.
And just blaming, like, oh, look at Perth, you know, what are they doing? Look at McGowan. But after that wore off pretty quick, and it just became like, all right, I'll go back when I go back.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do. The way a lot of us were cornered, and we couldn't come back, we couldn't do anything much, and the government wasn't really helping us or our cause either.
Yeah.
There was kind of like abandonment issues, you know what I mean? Like when a girl leaves you out in the rain, and you're like, oh.
McGowan! You're in the window in the rain, like, forget about me!
So that's how I felt, you know?
Yeah.
And maybe there was like a snitch guy playing the drums in the background, like, with a piano. This is just for the viewers so they understand.
I can relate to the joke.
Yeah.
And the pain, of course. Not your life's a joke, but you know what I mean?
Well, isn't everyone's life a joke to a certain extent?
That is true. That is true. I think it was very like disappointing, like seeing people who are like Australian citizens who've got the passport, you know, like this is your home and you're not allowed to come back.
And it's always been home.
Yeah, exactly.
It's always been home. Like I got back after nearly 3 years and go to my house. It's nice, cold weather. I love it. I mean, I've been living in a tropical country for the last 3 years. Haven't seen any sort of, you know, cooler weather. So, got home, had some Nando's. You know how it is.
Of course.
Peri chips with a chip dip, and the Nando's chicken, which is obviously the best basting, is hot and barbecue, extra saucy.
Fuck yeah, bro.
You know what I mean?
You know how to live. That's the Perth lifestyle right there.
Yeah, bro. That's the first thing I would have as well. Like when you come back.
And there's no Nando's in Indonesia, so this was for me. This was a milestone in life.
Nostalgic, right?
Yeah. And just had it, and I was like, all right, you know, I gotta go there myself and tell them how it's done.
You're a connoisseur, bro. You know what I mean? Like you take the most out of every meal. You know, the flavors, the scenery, like you know how to live your life.
Yeah. Especially because you know you kind of deal with spices, so you would appreciate the flavors a little bit more.
Look, you appreciate a good meal.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And whether it's a $500 meal or whether it's a 50-cent meal, if it's good, it's good.
That's true. That's facts, dude.
If it's fucking good, it's good.
Yeah, that's facts, bro.
If you run for mayor, like that's your catchphrase. If it's good, it's good. You know, like.
We'll do it someday, man. We'll do it someday.
But every meal is a ceremony.
If it's good, it's good.
Yeah.
There's nothing's gonna change that, and you can tell yourself all day that, yeah, but you know, it was 50 cents. Like, it was a fucking good meal, dude.
That's true.
Same to the reverse way around. You know what I mean? If you have a shit meal but you lie to yourself, like, no, like, I had the macros, I had this, I had that. Like, bro, you're dishonoring your body
Exactly.
and your temple with this cheap microwave meal.
It's shit,
You know?
shit. Yeah.
Step it up, people.
I think the one is like when you go to a really like trash restaurant that is expensive, like justifying that to yourself when you leave the restaurant.
It's what can we do though?
What can you- yeah,
What can
exactly.
we- That's the only. You know, you're gonna be alone in that ride home, and you're gonna be like, "You piece of shit! What did you do?" We demand a certain sort of service. You know,
100%.
we demand it, and see, this is the beautiful thing about Indonesia, is that the service over there is number one priority. You go to a restaurant, whether the food is not the greatest, but the service will be that good that you'll be like, you know what, I'm not going to complain.
Yeah,
Like,
it's alright.
he was a good man, you know, he, or she was a good waitress, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
The manager. So I'm never feeling much disappointed over there. Besides, you know, the food poisoning here and there, because
Yeah.
street foods are the best, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's just it's good. Everything is service based. You just give a good, and people over there have that certain demand for that respect. If you don't, if they don't get that in the service or the product,
That's it. Good game.
Game over.
they will never come back to your establishment.
Free market enterprise. There you go.
That's true. You can say that's what's happening in the world right now. though.
Because some people, man, we don't go when we're going out to shop or when we're going out for, you know, dinner or lunch or whatever it is. Sometimes we're not actually going to shop. We're just going to hang out.
Yeah, yeah,
You know?
that's true. That's true. And
If
like,
we like something, we might like something. If we don't, you know, we're not specifically going with a target. And if you get such a good service in that place, you're coming home with something,
yeah,
right?
an experience.
Exactly.
As well.
Yeah.
Or if you're walking past a food court and there's a restaurant there and it smells immaculate, you know, us three, we know, we're not going home without that. We're gonna stop there and be like, you know what?
Yeah.
Let's eat it.
You got to show
Yeah.
the impact, like good customer service, good food, vibe can actually treat someone or affect their lives, you know? They go
Yeah.
home feeling good, they treat their wife good, treat their kids good. What if they had a bad experience, go home like a little bit resentful, you know? Treat their wife bad, kids bad. You got a
That's
generation
true.
that's falling apart, one meal at a time, Rotego.
Well, I'm gonna say though, like sometimes, you know, there's that like that Asian Chinese restaurant that you go to and the service is trash, but the food is so good that you go back anyway.
But you see,
Right.
that can only survive here, in Australia. I've seen not just Australia in general. Any European nations,
They're
Australia.
so laid back, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you go to an Asian nation with this sort of attitude, you're done. Doesn't matter how good your food is.
Like, can I just say though, man, there's restaurants in America that are opening up that are based on bad customer service. Like they abuse you and they're so busy. You see
Yeah,
them on
yeah,
TikTok,
yeah,
like they bring
yeah.
their family there, they don't tell them the joke.
yeah.
Bro, I would love to work there, right? That would be like my dream job. You know what I mean?
So you just abuse.
I want to jump in the deep end.
Sure.
You know, deep dive into some like filth and grime. You're a spice dealer in the third world.
Yeah.
You know? And I imagine the third world, we hear about the third world, the corruption, the filth, the poverty, all this kind of stuff. And the games that must be at play right there in the country. How does a man play that game and survive and thrive in the dirty, dark world of the third world, man? Because business is not so clean over there as it is in Australia. You've got ABNs, you've got simple things, but over there you need some more, there's more levels of existence than
Understand.
just the law, you know?
That's a good question, man. Well, basically,
We can change your name for
we can
privacy.
if we can come to terms with number one, I'm not in my country.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest obstacle which is in your way, because we're so comfortable with where we are, wherever we're living. The fear is of going out and exploring the unknown. And what hurdles do we usually put in front of us? Oh, I don't know the language, or I can't handle the food there, or I feel that these are all self-sabotaging hurdles that we put in front of us.
Is safety a concern as well in this situation?
Look, as long as you're not doing anything to rip people off, and as
Yeah.
long as you're not doing anything highly illegal, who's going to want to come and hurt you?
I just mean like the competition. People that want to be paid off or bribed, or they can see you doing well, like, oh fuck, this is doing well. Like,
Look,
how do we? you know?
the thing is, yes, it can be done, but at the end of the day, no matter where you are, no matter how much corruption there is in a country, or no matter how much backwards they are, hard work and ethic overcomes all.
Mm.
Why? Because if there are powers in place which are not in your control, trying to, derail you off your path, off your business or whatever you're doing,
Yeah.
you learn their game plan.
Mm.
You understand what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
So that's something else you've added to your knowledge
Yeah.
arsenal, I would say.
100%. I just want to clarify too. Like,
And you become, you become more aware and smarter now. So let's just say there's a ship, right? And a ship is drowning, for example. It's a thunderstorm, it's raining, it's cyclone warning going on, it's cold weather, it's fog,
A place in India right there.
and the ship is slowly drowning. And there's a couple of holes in the ship which is making it drown. But you don't know which hole is the specific one. So what you're going to do is you're going to be clogging the holes, right? So the
Yeah.
first hole you clog. You've clogged it. All right, that wasn't the issue. Let's move on. But you've got that experience now, right? That there's a fucking hole over there and I know how to clog it.
mm.
Now the second hole you clog it, vice versa. Now the third hole you clog it and the water stops coming in the ship. Now you've saved your drowning ship in nasty cold weather, but at the same time, you knew what was the problem trying to drown your ship. And it wasn't one, there was multiple. So now you've become much more aware and much more mentally stronger to fight something similar, another storm. You can weather another storm again.
Yeah.
You're essentially making a roadmap for yourself.
Mm.
And you just keep following that freaking roadmap. It's like, the chat I was having with Brett earlier on, should have actually had it over here, but a bit too much excitement, meeting you guys after 3 years.
Yeah.
So we were discussing that, look, when was the last time you sat down and you opened a random country and you just typed in, what is the duty of an iPhone?
Never.
Right? Never, right?
No, never.
But you aspire to work there, you aspire to go there, you're like, you know what, like, we could work there. How must the economy be over there? You think about all this stuff. We go online. We look at the GDP of the country. We look at the growth rate. We look at the inflation rate. But when was the last time you actually sat down and just looked, what is the duty on a specific product?
You're just extending your map of
Never, right?
opportunities.
Yeah.
So once you've done that, you sit down, you become more curious. Now you know the duty on an iPhone, it's an example. Now you're going to be like, hey, something bigger. What's the duty on, maybe a flat screen TV, a massive one? Oh, this is the duty. It's not too bad, all right. And as your curiosity lures you in, like a fishing reel, you'll slowly start researching items, and then by the time you know it, you will know exactly what it is required to work or do business in that particular country. And then that will entice you. You'll be like, why am I not doing it? I know everything about it. And you put one and one together, and by the time you know it, you'll be in that country. And you'll just be like, all right, I've maybe learned the language. I've tried to, even if I don't know the language 100%, but I can survive. I
Yeah.
can speak.
How many languages can you speak?
I can speak a few, I think about 5.
5 different languages.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
So, well, it comes morely from being in an ethnic background also.
Yeah.
Around the house we speak different languages going on, different friends, different countries, as we were kids we were traveling a lot.
Are there
Yeah.
similarities in these languages? Like you can sort of map together?
There's a few.
Mm.
Yeah.
And once you, honestly, once your brain learns how to, figure out a different language and install it in its hard drive, because it's not easy having one language here and another one here, and then you're trying to communicate,
Yeah.
and you
yeah.
gotta, so it takes a lot of effort to kind of pull them apart.
Yeah.
Mm.
But once your brain learns how to do that, the mind is endless. You
Yeah.
can put like 20 different languages, and for you it will be second nature.
Yeah, I think that was
Like-
one of the I think that was one of the biggest things when we moved from Kenya to America. It was like you still spoke Swahili. Like Swahili was your kind of like your internal processing language. Like when you listen to someone, you translate into Swahili and then into understanding. And then when you're trying to like properly be articulated in English, you're still translating from like English to Swahili back in your brain when you're reading. So when you read, it's English, Swahili, and then back to English. So keep in mind, like the grammar in different languages is different.
Beautifully
So-
said.
That must supercharge your mind in a way,
Yeah.
all those neural circuits that are taking
does.
place.
Yeah.
I'm not doing any of that.
And
I do a lot of language.
the beauty is, Brett, what
Yeah.
Ryan just said, I mean, I couldn't have put it in better words myself.
Yeah.
It's literally like, you put a USB in a computer, and then that USB, you take out the file and copy it onto your computer. Then you want to put a file onto the USB again. You got to copy another file from your computer onto the USB.
Yeah.
So it's like,
It's like
it's a back and forth. But the beauty is, when you become so comfortable with that, you can just switch. Like, milliseconds would be too much. Too
yeah.
many, Like, imagine thinking at how fast a PS5 is, okay? It's the reason why I say PS5 is because it's the newest platform, right?
Yeah.
Most powerful ever built, blah, blah, blah. Our brain is, the PS5 is probably like the computer that took the Apollo to the moon?
Yeah.
It was the size of this house.
Yeah.
It was probably as fast as that compared to nowadays technology.
Yeah. And like, I can only imagine what 5 different languages
Yeah.
in your mind would be. Like, that would be
All
very
that data,
insane.
man. All that data.
Yeah.
If you'd recommend to somebody wanting to go into business or extend their reach to the world, what would one language you want to be that you want to start with to make that step? Or there's a widely known one?
I wouldn't recommend to learn a language just like that to start that step, because honestly, staying in a country where that language isn't being spoken, it's a chore. And
It is, that's
it's
true.
a chore. Like, where's your motivation? There's no motivation there. But for example, you go to Thailand, and you're there for a month. How many people are you going to speak English with? And you're there, everyone's speaking that language. Try and interact with them. Go everywhere. Try and interact with them. See how it is. You've got an experience overseas now. You're trying to learn the language, and that will give you that passion to like learn the language and come back next time.
True, yeah.
But if you're just going to try and learn that language sitting here, open a book, you're just like, this is hideous. Like, what am I doing?
No shit, man.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So you got to. It's all about creating that initial passion inside of you that you can just hook onto and be like, all right, I've got a taste of it now, and why not?
100%, man.
But earlier on, as we were discussing that, when we look at a different country, we don't research much about it.
Yeah.
When I started doing that, I started seeing that, wow, this is not that hard. This is not that hard.
So that experience changes the belief.
Yeah.
It's not that hard.
Changes the belief.
Yeah.
Because knowledge is power and information is key. And the reason why sometimes we have targets, we have goals, we have everything is because maybe in that certain field we don't have the knowledge, and in that certain field we don't have the information. But imagine you have it. You're not going to use it, right? You're just going to be sitting, like, you've got this advantage, you've got this knowledge. It's like a weapon essentially, right? And you're just sitting there with a gun, but you're like, yeah, I'm not going to use it. Like, no, don't take it on a driving range either.
Yeah.
Just it's stupid.
Yeah.
And when you start applying yourself, I mean, look, God's made us all fairly, like, us three, mental health, likewise, we're not suffering from it. Like, we've got a full brain, He hasn't made us disabled in any way. So and the disabled guy who's grown up with a weakness of some sort, I wouldn't call it a weakness, but disability God's given him. Wouldn't he wish that, hey, I wish I could be in their shoes or in that seat he's sitting? The things I would do.
Yeah.
I just need a chance, but they don't get the chance. We have it in us.
Yeah. Very well.
It's almost a
That's very
disservice to everybody else if you don't take opportunities.
true. Yeah.
If you've got the knowledge and the key, you're gonna use it, man. You're not gonna sit at home knowing that you've got the keys to like a safe, and you're gonna be like, but I'm not gonna use the key. You're gonna use that key, And when you get into the safe, it will open much more other opportunities.
Bro, can I talk about something else? Like on this same wavelength, right? In the third world, if something goes wrong in business, someone screws you over or does something a little bit nefarious in some way, can you just go to the authorities, the police, or anyone like that? Is there any consequences for that? Will anyone intervene to help you, so to speak, like the government, or will it just be like, you're on your own, mate? Like, how does that operate?
You know,
Like you ask for
It's-
5 times, they only give you 2.5 and say, oh, too bad, and you already paid it. You know, something like that.
look, the thing is, I would say it's a wild, wild west, in a way.
Yeah.
And in the wild, wild west, it's about how you manage yourself. Because if you can't manage yourself, you won't be managing other people. It ain't gonna be happening. So if you can manage yourself, you're that confident in yourself, you'll be able to get your way around it.
I suppose that rubs off on other people. Your reputation becomes very important. In a way, it's like, if someone wants to find a review about you or do business with you, they're going to hear from their friend or someone else and like, here's a good man, a good reputation. There's no reviews, like no Yelp, like Google, like, you know?
Look,
Yeah.
It's all about the reputation. It doesn't matter if you're, all these companies come into Indonesia from, around the world. And let's just say from a massive American firm will come inside Indonesia and they'll be like, yeah, we're going to take over this business, like it's a big company, Within 2-3 years, they're gone. They put their tail behind their legs and they've run back, man. They're like, we can't work here.
What are some of the reasons why they run like that? Have you heard all the stories that sort of
Because
freak them out?
it's all about reputation. So it doesn't matter who comes there. You've built a name. You've built a reputation. People, they're not essentially working with your company. They're working with you. You are the company.
Because you are the guarantee.
Exactly.
There are no other guarantees.
And when you've said something, you fucking do it. Doesn't matter, it's causing you a fucking $50,000 loss, $100,000 loss. You fucking do it. It will hurt. Yeah, it will hurt. But if you've given your guarantee to someone, if you've given your word, the hammer's been put down. That's it, mate. Don't step back.
You burn your bridge, you're burning yourself. Essentially.
Yeah.
And whether or not the other guy was trying to screw you, whether you let him go, or sometimes letting someone go is showing more power than actually doing damage to them. That, hey, you took your biggest shot at me, I'm still here. Come back again.
Wow. No shots fired back.
It's
Yeah,
like if you go up to a jacked guy and you punch him in the face, right? And you're like, I'm gonna knock him. You're not small either, but someone 3 times your size, and you're like, you know what? I'm just gonna clip this guy once fucking hard on the jaw, and he's gonna go down, And you do that, and it just goes boom, rubs up, and he just looks back at you like that. You might not even clip him a second time. You're gonna be like, sorry, thank you for your time. You walk back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true.
And then you'll be like, I'm gonna need something so much more heavier to hit this guy with to take him down. And if I consume myself in doing that, I'm finished. So just stay out of his way.
Yeah, yeah. And I hear that from different places and sources that in the third world, even all around us, there are these secret billionaires or really, really powerful, influential people that are sleepers. You don't know them, they're not on Forbes, but they fucking better well should be. You know what I mean? Have you had any experience with these people? Do they exist? What are they like, and how do you recognize them to stay clear, Or to get on the good side,
Look, you don't need to be on their good side, or you don't need. And you're not going to be on their bad side, because in front of them you're just an ant.
Yeah.
So I don't care.
Oh, yeah, man.
You know what I mean? So for them,
You
they
know
don't
it,
even
right?
know you exist.
Yeah.
Slightly triggered.
No, I'm speaking about myself.
I know, bro, I know.
For you, well, maybe.
Anyway, let's move forward.
But yeah. So they don't even know you exist. So
Yeah.
no matter for example, you think you're a $100 million company, for example. That $100 million for them is not even chump change. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If you're a multi-billionaire, $100 million is nothing.
But who are these people, and how do they stay off of Forbes, off the radar completely?
Because they are the country. Now, understand this. I'm going to try and put it in the most artistic way as possible. I need to paint a picture for you guys to understand this. This is, and not just in Indonesia or any third world country. Any country will always have a family or a couple of families, and those families are married to each other. So let's just say I have a son, or I have a daughter, you have a son, and you're the owner of one of the biggest, you know, mining firms over there, like the biggest. You meet someone else, they own one of the biggest trucks and machinery, so it goes hand in hand, right? And then they become friends, because obviously that's your vendor, essentially, right? The trucks and machines is your vendor, but this guy is like on the scale of you also. Now you're working with each other, that trust has been created, that bond has been created, right? And you think to yourself, hey, this guy didn't screw me. We have a good synergy going on. You know, like, we're going places together. And remember, you're already a billionaire yourself. And you're thinking, now imagine for a billionaire to have that thought that, hey, this guy's all right, to trust you. Because how many people probably go up, there's so many gold-digging men out there, women out, you know, like how many people do you think are going to billionaire and like, hey, sir, like I need an opportunity, like, you know, I'm sure they see thousands, they're just like, dude, I just don't want to see anyone. But then for a billionaire to think about someone else on that level, that someone else has to be like
Up there.
Now, they marry their kids together. Okay?
It's not like the freaking dynasties, dude.
It's like that. They marry their kids together. Now there's two massive organizations in that country which have a big, you know, they're a big player in the GDP of the country, essentially.
Damn, yeah.
Just those two firms. Now imagine 2 other firms, 3 other firms. Now these are the firms that are the people behind the curtains. That's why multinational companies come in, these firms, they make a phone call to each other. All right, boys,
It's time.
you know, so, and they'll just start getting screwed slowly. They start getting bled very slowly from each company, like the logistics company, the mining company, this company, that company, because they're all somehow just...
At constant war with each other.
No, they're all together.
Oh,
They're all
okay.
together, and they're taking out the international, like the expats coming down.
So effectively, you
Sophisticated wild west.
yeah. The only way for you to actually make it there is if you either have a fuckload of money or you already have a ridiculous presence, influence, and power.
That or reputation.
Or you can use somebody else's if they're tight enough, right?
Yeah.
Reputation. Again, it all comes down to reputation. It's your word.
Yeah.
You've told someone, sir, I'm going to do this for you. Because it's the Wild Wild West, the reputation matters. Like over here, you know, you go to a shop, for example, you mess with someone, you're scared to punch him because you're like, you know, even though he swore at me, if I punch him, he's going to do a case on me. You know, I'm going to go in. And there's nothing, everything is protecting that person,
Yeah.
and nothing's protecting you, which is frustrating. So even if you want to screw someone over, you can't, essentially. So if you're in a business, you buy something you call fair trade, you call fair work, you call this. There's a lot of things protecting you. So over here, reputation doesn't really, in my opinion, yeah, reputation doesn't matter because there's so many laws put in place to protect the consumer and, you know, the producer.
Yeah.
That even if you're not an honest businessman, you're not a good man, you know, you still have to, because the system is putting you towards that.
Yeah.
But over there's a system, but obviously it's broken to a certain extent. It's not the same way as it's over here or in any other, you know, countries. So when you do a transaction or you do a deal with someone over there and they say to you, and you say it will be done, now that person's going home and he's thinking, did I just get screwed over? Did I just get screwed over? Oh no. Hopefully he does it. Hopefully he does it. And it doesn't matter. It's not even about being a small amount or a big amount of money. It could be anywhere from $500 to, you know, north of whatever. And when you do pull that, service or product with that person, and you've finessed the whole transaction, that person or that entity is just going to be like, wow. Reputation, right? So next time he does a transaction with you, he's not going to think twice. He's going to be like, this, I've done a transaction with him. And some people, it takes multiple transactions, okay?
Yeah.
But they might just be like, wow. And they're just going to continue working with you, whether or not there's new vendors opening, there's new people opening around you, competitors. But because they know you, they don't care about your freaking factory. They don't care about your branding, your logo. They care about, is this guy going to take care of me?
Yeah, man.
Did I explain that correctly?
You hit it so well that I'm thinking about it now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm really processing that. Need a quick break. But man, that's excellent. And that's quickly just bypassed.
Yeah. No, fair.
And that's why when, any sort of business in the world is profit and loss, right?
Yeah.
So whether you're in a loss, don't put that loss onto your partners or your customers. You're the vendor or you're providing the product or the service. Fucking deal with it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Deal with it. Don't fucking put that onto who you're working with, because the reason why they're working with you is because they don't want that headache. They don't want to be thinking, if the market goes up, if the market goes down, what's going to happen, this, that. They just want to be like, I've done a deal with this guy, that deal's fucking locked in. Doesn't matter if the world fucking burns, that deal's locked in.
Well, he's got his own problems to deal with, keep in mind.
Exactly.
He doesn't really want to have to think about all these other factors, especially if it's a business transaction. Like if you're running your own business within itself and something happens, market crashes, you've got to deal with your own shit, your own business. You don't want to you don't want his problems to come onto you,
Does everybody operate like that in the third world, or is only certain people that?
Well, that's the beauty of is it a tragedy or is it a beauty?
I think it's a beauty. You know what I mean?
Well, we would think it's a beauty.
Yeah.
Other people might think it's a tragedy. People in a country like Australia, they might be like, no, I'll not stand for this,
Yeah.
And that's what happens. They go there, and I feel very bad because you're going to someone else's country to essentially make money off their land. You're there, and that country is providing you your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But you're not going to have the slightest respect to fucking try and learn their language. You're going to try and speak whatever language you're going to enforce your language onto them. Sit the fuck down. Learn their language.
Sounds like Britain.
No, learn. Yeah.
I agree with that.
Learn their language, and we are all guilty of that.
Yeah.
We are all guilty of that. I'm pretty sure 99% of humans are guilty of that.
Yeah.
But when you understand, hey, I'm not in my domain. This is not my country. I'm in someone else's. Fucking respect it. Learn their language. Speak to them. Whether or not your culture is, completely different, you adapt their culture. Leave your culture at home. And what culture I'm talking about is not something that, is forbidden or like just in our religion also, there's things that are forbidden and you should do them. No, I'm not talking about that culture. The culture where basically you've come from a Western country and you're trying to apply that same sort of mindset there, you can't.
That's not going to work.
It's not. Over there, you can't fire anyone. You want to, if someone's done wrong with you, whether they've stolen off you, you can't fire them.
What do you mean though? They've done your company wrong though.
But you can't fire them.
How do you resolve that problem?
How do you resolve that? Yeah.
You make them resign.
Oh, even like rehabilitation, protection, make them resign. Okay,
Look, if someone stole a big amount of money from your company, over here, if someone does that, there's like jail term. You get over there. Sometimes you just got to close your eyes and be like, all right, I don't want to see you again.
And you still can't fire them.
No, you make them resign.
You gotta make a deal.
Write down this resignation. Sign it, please. I know what you've done. I've got all the proof, but let's not take it further.
Yeah.
Oh,
fair enough.
If you want to take it further, then I'm sure you know who's going to win. So get out.
I like that. You know what I mean? Nothing needs to be said.
Yeah.
It just-
And the other
please
person will be
sign.
also like, all right, sorry. Please, you know.
But is there a potential? Is there ever a potential where like they can be like a court case or anything like that?
Because if you get involved in the court cases over there, what you've lost, you're going to end up losing way more just by paying off, because it's not a system designed to help you. It's just a system
To make
which is-
them money, right?
Yeah.
You got to
make-
pay everyone off to leave.
yeah.
That's, man, what a mess.
Yeah,
What a mess,
that's
dude.
the rule. Yeah, I could see that though. I guess here there's rules, regulation. You've got like OHS and fair work and all this kind of stuff. I think that one thing is like one thing a lot of people find so shocking is when they go to like a third world country and they see these people working at like from like 5 a.m. to like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 p.m. And like they're on top of a building just with like a towel on top of their head with water, and they're just smashing through work. And there's like, dude, isn't there OHS in this place? And there's like, bro, you're in a third world countries, man. These guys are hustlers. That's all they do.
Yeah.
And you respect it.
Yeah.
You respect it. So that's why when you meet a hustler who's not going to hustle you, that's a big deal.
True.
It goes back to our conversation earlier on. It's about reputation.
Yeah.
When you meet a guy who he doesn't hustle you, and you're just like, and that other person just thinks, wow.
Is that reputation based off of like fear, power, or just
Your
they
character.
genuinely like you?
Your character.
Mm.
My theory in life is just don't be an asshole. Obviously understand where the other person's coming from, understand why, what's happened. Don't make a decision immediately. And I'm guilty of that because I used to be quite a hot-headed person in the younger days. Decision comes out, it's got to be done now. That's it. Nah. But over time, over experience, you just start to learn. Take a step back, understand what's going on, and just deal with it. It's
Beautiful.
the older we get, the more our eyes are opening to everything that's going on around us. The world doesn't need another asshole. It just doesn't.
Yeah. There's already plenty of.
Yeah, there's already plenty of them, man. And you might say something nice to someone, Every night, if I'm going through a McDonald's drive-through or Hungry Jack's drive-through, I'll have a chat with a person. Either I could just sit in my car with the window open, with the window completely closed, and or while they're waiting there, just ask them how their night is. You never know what they're probably going through. You never know. You just might ask them, how's your night? Or just throw in a little cheeky comment here and there, and they might just go home happier.
Could be
So true.
Yeah, could be that moment.
And they'll
that
remember you.
turns- Yeah.
They'll remember you. And they'll
Turn
remember
things
you in a
around.
positive way. And you might see him someplace. You never know. You never know in life who you're going to bump into again. It's funny because I was out with my wife the other day. We were in Karrinyup shopping center.
Yeah.
She was like, wait, me and her, we have these wars. Like, I'm like, Carousel's the big boy. She's like, no, you need to see Karrinyup. I'm like, no, Carousel is the big boy of WA. So I was like, you know what? I'll go check out Karrinyup.
Oh, this is a new Karrinyup?
The big one, like.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I
It's
think it
got-
was recently renovated.
Yeah, it got
Even
recently
before
renovated.
it was a fucking
Yeah.
hell of a
After
shop.
the renovation, it just
Those north side
cruised
don't know how to
over,
live,
yeah.
man.
I felt like
And
I was in Jakarta.
I haven't even gone in there.
I was like, Perth, well done. I did not feel like I was in a different country. I walked into that shopping center and I was like, wow, this is international standard now.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's scary to see that shopping center just got to international standard in 2022, when shopping centers that we've been visiting, or even buildings all around the world, they were like this 20 years ago.
Dude, Perth is like a baby country city, man.
It's baby city, yeah.
But it blows
don't
your
love
mind
it,
that,
yeah.
hey, because it's so baby, there's a lot of untouched things here that can be done. It's just, you just got to keep your eyes open,
Yeah.
But that's a different topic. Again, I was telling you about the story where
Yeah.
You never know which person's going to come in handy. We'll jump back to this one also, yeah? So we go into the lift, and this couple's coming through, and I hold the lift for them, and I'm like, oh, come in, you know, thanks. And then, as the lift is going down, I just told them, look, you know what's weird? That our destinies cross path, and in our destiny, it was only the fact that we were supposed to meet for 20 seconds inside a lift. And we may never see each other ever again.
You're Morpheus.
Bro, bro, you're giving people epiphanies in the elevator, bro. Like,
It was an epiphany for myself. Because I was thinking that. They walked in, and I said that to them. And the guy, he was a good bloke. He was like, you're fucking right. He was like, holy fuck. You know, and his girlfriend was there as well. And I was just like, anyways, like, you have a good life? You know? I said it. I was like, I don't know when we're going to see you. But the thing is, if we ever bump into another lift again together, or we bump in anywhere else, he's going to be like, hey, that's the guy. And I'm going to be like, that's the guy.
Yeah.
Now, when have you ever freaking remembered anyone from a lift in your entire life?
No shit.
that's true. That's facts.
No one, right?
Mm.
It's just an entity coming in and then going out.
Yeah.
But what if, like, each person in the lift, you could just do a little connection with them just before they leave? 20 seconds, 30 seconds.
Mm. It's beautiful, eh?
Damn, that's powerful, dude.
So, you know, I told my wife that, and my wife is there. She was like, dude, what the hell just happened? I was like, that's what ran through my mind.
Yeah, man. I feel
And now you might see that guy, going back to you never know when someone's going to come in handy. He might be, you'd never know, he might be some officer in the engineering department, which is going to approve your new, you know, engineering certificate that you need for the building that you're making. And you go there and
bang, that rapport.
right there, he's going to sign that fucking dotted line.
Damn, and I never thought about it like that, though.
That's so true,
That's
though.
so true, yeah.
Because I imagine, like, in the course of 5 years doing that your whole life, you'd have like thousands, tens of thousands of connections you just made. Just like that. Love it, bro. Dude, in your dealings, right? Now you're doing spy trading across the world and a few other different projects, I'd imagine. You're talking to people on the ground who are in business, who are in the know in other countries. And it's the best and only form of true news. You know what I mean? Because people look at the TV to say what's going on in Afghanistan, what's going on here, what's going on there, and you're getting this bullshit. I'd imagine bullshit because it's getting called out every day now. But you can call someone right now who's in Afghanistan, who can look out his window and see the Taliban.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To tell you what's going on. And I noticed you told me about Afghanistan and the Taliban and the whole situation there. And the truth of it is total opposite of what we've been fed.
Yeah.
Could you tell us about what's really happening in Afghanistan with the Taliban and America leaving?
Well, from our sources, what we've heard is basically the Taliban now that have come back, they are not the same Taliban that were there in the 90s. So if we do our research correctly, and actually, I mean, it's not that difficult to find this out. It's not some hidden information, but it just isn't broadcasted, so we don't know. But this Taliban, they've studied in universities, there's doctors, there's engineers, they're educated.
But to clarify, what is the actual definition of the Taliban? Like, what are they? Who are they?
Taliban's a government. So
Like a political party?
it's a political party. So if there was to be votes, the Taliban would be the political party.
Wow.
It's not a military group.
Interesting.
It's not a military group.
Very interesting.
But the thing is, we've been shown that, hey, Taliban.
Yeah, terrorist and organization.
It's
blah,
like
blah, blah.
Russell Peters, you know, he goes in one of his jokes, you see a taxi on TV, right? A photo of a taxi, and then you see a photo of an Indian guy, immediately like, yeah, he's a cab driver. But the thing is, they didn't say he was a cab driver. They just showed you a photo of a cab,
Yeah.
and they showed you a photo of an Indian guy. Now you just assume like, yeah, of course, I knew he was a cab driver. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So this is how we get fed the information. You see a rocket launcher, and then you see a guy wearing a fucking turban, the Taliban, and you're like,
Fuck, man, it's just like simple imagery.
Right there, just the
Suggestibility,
images,
like
and then
basic psychology 101.
yeah.
I didn't piece it together. Dude, that's interesting. Mm.
So I think in all aspects, we should always be well informed. We should do our own research.
Yeah.
And you know, curiosity is a beautiful thing. So we should pursue curiosity, and we should go deeper into things. And sometimes when we do go deeper into things, people don't like it. People don't want to listen to it because it destroys their reality.
It's kind of like that whole cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
You know, like it's a.
You've been taken hostage.
Yeah.
You got the. What's that syndrome? There was a syndrome.
Is it Stockholm?
Yeah, Stockholm
yeah.
syndrome.
Where you like your
Yeah.
abuser?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be honest, I can kind of understand where some people come from, because it's just kind of like you're confronting an idea, especially if it's like a really, really big principle of an idea. That's kind of like a foundation of like of who you are. If your parents, your schooling, everything you know is founded around this principle and this ideology from the time you're young. So I can kind of understand how that could be like a scary thing, you know, like.
Summarizing it as like it's a traumatized population, essentially.
Yeah.
Or a very huge majority, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And what they want is they just want their country back. They just want the Russians to stop coming in. They want the US to stop coming in. They want the Turks to stop coming in. They just want their damn country back.
Wasn't Afghanistan at one point an extremely developed nation?
Afghanistan in the 70s and 80s, it was an extremely developed nation. Beautiful infrastructure, world-class hotels.
And like a
People would educational, amazing universities, like phenomenal universities.
For medical education as well, for medicine.
People
It's
from
crazy.
Western countries were traveling to Afghanistan to study, to live there. Because it's such a beautiful country. I mean, you got one of the best, purest oxygen and air in the world. Mountains, the most beautiful lakes in the world. All the natural resources you can ever think of available. Oil and gas available. Everything is on your fingertips. What? No one's going to leave you alone. Everyone wants a piece of that.
Yeah.
And that's what's been going on for centuries.
Yeah, I think it's the same with a lot of these African nations as well. Like they have such massive reserves of resources, you know, like they've got metals, they've got like, I'm pretty sure they have a huge reserve of oil. It's just a vast resources, and just like pretty much the same thing. People are just gonna keep bugging them, and China is deep in Africa right now.
Yeah. China basically it's and the thing is, why wouldn't they?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Like China right now is, in my opinion, I personally feel that is probably the most powerful country on earth right now.
I agree.
And we don't even see the tip of the iceberg about China. They look at the world and they laugh. Why? Because they're like, you guys have no idea. Can you imagine? Everything in your house, everything in your office place, everything to this radio, our phones, there's a device in there from China.
Yeah, somewhere, somehow.
There's a freaking device in there. And what does that device come from? Comes from a factory. And where's that factory?
China.
In China. Now, whether or not it's a device the size of my fingernail,
It's like a chip.
or it's a car door, or if it's anything, there's a multi-million-dollar factory made over there for that specific device.
And it could be something as small as ball bearings.
Yeah.
Bro.
It could bring the whole world to its knees.
Yeah.
Now imagine how many factories of all these moving parts, everything are in China, and they're all bringing in that import money, like that.
Oh man.
Does like 10,000s would be understatement.
And they're a communist country too.
Now imagine that money coming into China. And, you know,
Yeah.
can you imagine now?
Stop.
I think it'd be billions a day.
Like, see this button? See that button?
Just that button itself. Just
that
one button
needs a factory.
Yeah. And it's in China.
Yeah, and then there's that button, and there's that, and so there's individual like vendors having their own factories over there, just pumping out product, and not cheap crap.
Think about the also the royalties. I heard Huawei,
Yeah.
they invented airplane mode, and they own it, patented. Every phone that has airplane mode has to pay Huawei in China.
That's gangster.
That's like, that royalty is just fat. You know what I mean? Airplane mode, like patented. Fucking hell.
That's fat, man.
Yeah, Huawei is no joke, bro. They have like their own version of the White House in China, and they have 14 underground stories of where they actually manufacture the devices. And after the 4th floor, it's all like, you need to know, like Freemasonry levels. You can't go down there.
Wow.
They're experimenting on shit you just don't know about.
It's just the insane technology.
Insane technology, bro. Like, there was a guy in 2014, I was looking at Vodafone, I was chatting to the Huawei guy, and I was like, nah, I'm gonna milk him for everything he's got. You know, I wanna know everything. And he was telling me all this stuff. And then he said, they have a light globe in China for a street light. And you just put it in, and it will be like 1 gigasecond, like 5G, just all out about 200 meters around that light globe. Even though it's not like nothing fancy or extreme.
That's the technology behind
That's
it.
for like that for 10 years ago. 5G,
That's
1
insane.
1 gigasecond, like to your phone, like they must have like things.
Wait,
That's at the 4th floor. Imagine like what else is going on.
But see, that's the thing. Like to me, like you say 1 gigasecond. If you put that in perspective, that means you could easily download what? Almost 100 gigs worth of data on your phone in less than 10 minutes.
Well, the globe can push that out at that speed, but it's like, can it get the Wi-Fi to the globe at that speed? If that makes sense.
Yeah, but then
But
if it's 5G, I'm assuming they'd already have the cabling and stuff
Yeah,
for
yeah.
5G.
True.
You know,
they'd have the
They proved that it
infrastructure
worked.
to
They'd have
provide
the
the 5G,
infrastructure,
because
yeah.
they wouldn't make an item that beams 5G essentially if
Yeah,
there's
but
nothing
There's
else.
nothing,
Yeah.
yeah. Because even in Kenya, I think like going back to what you were talking about, like how Perth is so far behind. I think I was in Kenya in 2012. I was in Kenya in 2012, and they were rolling out fiber optic cable
All right.
nationally. You know, like that, and to me, like Texas, because I came from Texas, and Texas was already had it, and it was like it wasn't too bad, but they were rolling out like high quality like fiber optic cable to like, obviously you'd have to pay for it
Man, way ahead of Australia.
Yeah, if you're that wealthy, but to me I was just like, dude, that's insane. Like they had M-Pesa, which is like pretty much like a digital functioning currency in 2006.
Damn, man. Is it the people in Kenya designing, making that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Like, what's sparking their curiosity? What's sort of the driver there that makes them just, you know?
I think they've got a mass. There's a lot of innovation there, but the government is just not taking advantage of it, or they're just too corrupt, and they don't know they're letting.
There's no systems to help them at all.
There's no system to help them at all. But if you really think about it, if in 2006 they had a functioning digital currency, like it was like, I'm telling you, like it got to a point where I could give my
2006,
grandma.
Bluetooth was rare in a car.
Yeah.
Just think of it that way.
You can go to Kenya, make networks with them, and then help them build their brand using the first world in a way, you know?
Yeah, but at this point it was like, I think it was equivalent to, I think Safaricom is owned by Vodafone. I think Safaricom was owned by Vodafone.
Let's assume it is.
Yeah. So like it started off with Safaricom, which is pretty much Vodafone, and they had it in 2006. And dude, this thing was so simple. Like I could give my grandma to use it, and my grandma uses it very, very functionally.
Wow.
Like you had fiber optic cable 2012. You have like a digital currency back then. So then I come here, and bro, these guys are still using ADSL. Like, you know, like it's a very, very
Do you
slow.
think that happens to the form of corruption, sort of control the mass market, drip fed to make as much money as they can? You know, if something comes that's too revolutionary, you just missed all these steps. You know, like from iPhone 1 to iPhone 10, it's like you just missed like 9 phones in
Yeah.
revenue. Is that the reason behind it? Or
Possibly. Honestly,
because I
don't know.
imagine
Like,
if they're making that in Kenya, like Hawaii must have that shit underground, and it's like, we're not going to bring it out yet. We're going to drip feed.
drip feed it slowly.
You
And
know?
this is before like even Osco. Osco wasn't a thing. Like you couldn't even do like a bank to bank transfer.
What's Osco?
Osco is like if you want to transfer someone money, like you'd get there in like 10-15 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, so Osco wasn't a thing. So there was no instant like
Yeah.
money currency exchange, but back there was instant. 30 seconds. You're transferring money to and from anywhere within that place. Like even here, like you could You could transfer money from here to M-Pesa and then have it within 5-10 minutes, which is at that time, even now, it's still like a very insane thing. It's like a crazy revolution, and there's no bank mediary.
Well,
Oh, okay.
yeah, Swift.
Yeah, so it's pretty much Swift. Yeah,
Swift has the American intermediary for everything, right?
yeah. So, but there's no bank in between. So that's
So
why
it
it was
doesn't
such
go
a
to
huge
like
thing.
Chase Bank in New York first, waits there, and then they transfer
and then
it forward.
they transfer
How do
forward.
they do that to communicate with these banks? Are they issuing that money on credit and waiting the 3 days themselves, and then so it's an illusion of instant, but in actual fact, because you wouldn't be able to bypass those systems, I'd imagine. You'd like an intermediary, because you couldn't just go to the World Bank. I need
If
a,
it's US
I need a
dollars,
faster extension.
It's usually, it requires intermediary. Don't quote me on that, but
Yeah.
it requires intermediary
So
because
I-
it all
yeah.
goes through
Yeah.
the US, and they see what this payment has been made for because
Because that's the whole point of the ledger, right?
yes, it's
Yeah.
the
So
whole,
you have that-
it's the
yeah.
ledger also, but it's the control of that to know where the US dollar is going, how it's being circulated, and why it's being used.
Yeah.
and where it's being used.
Fuck man. That's,
Yeah,
that's
which is interesting. I think
Your
like,
every transaction, sorry,
Yeah, yeah,
your
sorry,
every
yeah.
transaction is being monitored.
yeah.
Every time you spend a US dollar, which is not cash,
yeah,
if it's you're transferring anywhere,
Mm.
it's going through intermediary.
Automatic AI.
Yeah.
Dude, I got a friend. I want to bring him on the show, but he doesn't want to come on the show. But he works in business systems, information systems, data analysis, and that
Yeah.
sort of stuff. And he's pretty one of the best guys with the mind for it. I think he's managing about $4 billion worth of project at one of the mining companies here. I won't say which one, but he's moved up so quickly. But he was saying when he worked at the ATO, he was building information systems and AI that would cross-check data and that sort of stuff. And he's saying that every single transaction is being cross-checked at the ATO, cross-checked with also with Centrelink and that sort of stuff, connecting everything on MyGov, like the ATO, Centrelink, everything's all interconnected, so that they can monitor absolutely everything. There is absolutely no freedom at all. Like every single cent is analyzed, put on these lists,
which is kind of scary.
and he's putting them in now. So I'd imagine in 10 years' time, this is like
the thing is like
there'll be that little list, like red, green, yellow, who's like on the naughty list, so to speak.
I also kind of think that the thing is about that is like, I think that'll be relevant in 10 years. You can have all that data and like you can have all the AI, but unless they create like a digital version of the AUD, it's not gonna matter. It really
The blockchain
won't.
will just take over.
Yeah, because the blockchain will just take over.
Well, it depends
anyway.
how much power the government has over the blockchain technology and the releasing of it, you know?
Yeah.
Because
But
maybe
the-
right now they're just buying time by having everyone make money and put it on these exchanges, but in actual fact, you're still using US dollars. It's like,
Yeah.
when will that transfer take place of the blockchain to the other currencies? And it's
Good
like,
question.
or will they merge as one, or they'll have a digital, and would a government be prepared, like the US, to lose their US dollar? Are they just going to hand that power? Oh, here you go, like anonymous Narutashi from Bitcoin. Like, I don't imagine from human history that if you want a currency, you need a fucking military.
Yeah,
'Cause
but
America's not going to let that shit go.
That's also on the basis that we didn't have technology back then.
That's true.
You know?
But what we're talking about in the third world here,
Yeah.
as far as how businesses run, and the global businesses run, if America is willing to invade a country over oil and kill its people and destroy, decimate lands, they're not just going to hand over the
Yeah.
US dollar. They're going to give everything they've got to control that technology.
Protect it.
Not just going to let it go.
Yeah.
Like, no way, man. These motherfuckers are like,
But see, but technically, like they are letting it go to some level. Like if we
they
consider
can
the
let go of
level
the US dollar, but not the power. So they've got to find a way to transfer that power somewhere.
somewhere,
You
yeah,
know?
which I reckon they would be able to find a way to do it, but I think their hold on the US dollar is becoming irrelevant, like regardless, because like the rate that they're inflating the US dollar, even though a lot of people still trust the US dollar in comparison to all the other currencies around the world, eventually it's just going to become irrelevant because it's going to be so inflated. Like,
Yeah.
what's the point of having it?
That's true. It's just the exchange of power. But
Yeah,
we'll just discuss quickly. You work international with different people. Is anyone actually trading any goods and services with cryptocurrency at all?
There's a few.
There's a few.
There's a few.
Guys, welcome back to Breakthrough Conversations Part 2 with Wasam Chaudhry, the spice trader in the third world and the developer of Type, the dating app. And brother, I want to jump into the dating app.
Sure.
And like, what does it actually take to actually build an app that's fully functional, that you're looking for an international sort of reach?
Well, I got into the dating app, well, creating an app business a couple of years ago. You could say before this whole app boom
Yeah.
was blessed upon us, you know.
Mm.
And me and a good friend of mine, you know, he's back there in Indonesia with me also. We were sitting down one day, and we were like, let's build an app. Because back then, obviously, there was Tinder and you know.
I think
all-
Tinder just came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Tinder is a very one-dimensional app. I mean, my opinion. That's just swipe, yes,
Mm.
no, yes, no. They can do whatever they want with it, but at the end, it's just yes, no, yes, no.
Yeah, that's true.
You know. And we thought, hey, why not create a dating app which is gamified? Me being a gamer myself, and I'm sure you being a gamer when you were younger, you know, back in the day.
Yeah.
Me still being a gamer, I know what it takes to attract a person who's a gamer.
Yeah.
So build a dating app, gamify it, invest the user mentally inside it, have different functions, features, matching your horoscopes, and that just breaks the ice for you, matching your interests. So you don't.
There's like a point
Algorithm,
system there,
yeah.
in a way. Like when you're actually making your profile, you're accumulating different points and different things
Yeah.
to actually have. Okay.
And we ask you what's your horoscope, we ask you your interests, and the whole dating app was actually based on us thinking, hey, let's make an app for people who like different races.
Yeah.
They want mixed races. On Tinder, you can't choose, right?
Yeah, you can't. Yeah.
Actually, to be honest, back then on, I think virtually every dating app, you couldn't choose. But why not? Like, if you want a Mexican Asian,
Yeah, you know what you want.
We're
yeah.
gonna find you a Mexican Asian.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
we're there for you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a bit taboo. Someone would be like, "Oh no, isn't that a bit this or isn't that a bit racist?" No, it's not.
No, not at all.
Everyone has their preferences. I mean, yours are pretty hectic. You know?
Well, you can put in anything you like. You can like half Greece, half Australian, or something like that.
Yeah, and if the person who's made the app, if they've filled in those points also, that okay, I'm half Greece, I'm half Australian, the algorithm will connect you,
Mm.
and all you got to do is just say hi, and the icebreaker, it's right there, your ethnicity.
Could you lie
no.
though? Like I could lie and be like, I'm Mexican, and
Look, of course you could lie, but
don't know.
I mean,
I'm just saying, of course, but
So stop speaking
but,
Spanish to you.
but you see, the thing
that's a
is,
dumb question. I'm gonna edit it out.
even if you're lying,
Yeah.
I think the person is still getting another ethnicity. So
Yeah.
let's just say, well, it'd be pretty hard for you to lie because, you know. But for me,
Yeah.
Your last name is literally English.
yeah, you know. So for me, I could pull off as Turkish, Arab, Pakistani, Indian. You know.
Yeah.
I could even, like, if I've got a good golf hand, I could pass off as Mexican. You know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sí, señor.
Yeah, just wear the poncho. Like, yeah, sí, señor. Hey, man, you know, like.
Yeah.
So maybe, but essentially, what the person's looking for is a brown guy, right? Technically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can become who you want. It's all about choice.
But bro, how do you even begin to build an app like that that's actually on iOS and on Android? Like, what kind of money is involved? Like, what kind of problems are involved? Because a lot of people want to build an app and just don't know what they're gonna run into down the line because they're dealing with the third world, whether you like it or not.
You know, for
You know?
us, we were sitting there and we were thinking, hey, how expensive would an app be to make? I mean, it's an app, you know.
Mm.
We started running around trying to find developers, and as we started getting deeper, we were like, hey, it's pretty difficult to find a good developer. So we had a budget of, I think, like 30 or 40 grand in our head. We were like, yeah, you know, like even if we lose,
Mm.
like, I won't be on the road, you know, after this. Like,
Yeah.
I'll be fine.
Yeah.
So, likewise, him also, he was like, you know, as we started looking, all these companies, they were offering ridiculous prices, north of $100,000. And we thought to ourselves, hey, if we're going to build something, like I told you, it has to be perfection. You're building it for the people, your client base. And you don't want something that's shit, something that's glitchy, something that's just absolute nightmare to use, crappy UX, crappy UI. Yeah, you don't want that. Even though it's free,
It'll turn you off.
It'll turn you off.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're like, hey man, if everything is this expensive, why don't we just go to the best and get it built? I'm not a tech guy, neither are you. And to be honest, we have no idea what we're doing. So why don't we go to the people that are doing it? And even if we have to pay them a bit of a premium, at least what we're trying to do, our vision, it'll be put to light in a proper showcase.
Proper way, yeah.
He was like, look, Wasam, I think you're right. Screw it, let's do it. So we went to a company in Melbourne. Yeah, you guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll come for you one day. Don't worry. But
One of the big main firms over there.
one of the big main firms over there. And they put us into this workshop. You know, my partner, he had to go to a proper workshop, stay there for 3 days, go there. Like, it was all glitter. Hi, meet our, technology manager. He's going to be dealing with you, and anything you need to know, you can ask him. Bro, this guy had no idea what he was talking about.
That's
And-
frustrating.
Yeah.
And we're trying to teach him how to build our app, and we're not even tech guys.
It's like dealing with someone on Fiverr.
Yeah, you can imagine, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, we're paying a lot of money for this, and what's going on here? But we were younger back then, and it was just the passion was too strong. We weren't gonna fucking bow down. We were gonna take a back foot. We had that vision. We needed to do that. Like, nah, I think it should be fine. Maybe it's just a technology manager.
It's like the ignoring the red flags.
Yeah.
You know?
Just to see your own vision, So you're ignoring it. And then they put us into this whole system where every week they were sending us emails. And for 4 months, they were just sending us emails and action plans. And they're like, our best people are onto it right now. I've still got all the emails. They just speaking so sweetly on email and everything and phone conferences. And after about 4 months, we asked them, so you keep telling us, yeah, everything, the back end is being done. What's actually going on? And in that 4 months, they changed our project manager 4 times. And I started doing further research, and me and my mate, we started doing further research. We went so it's looking on LinkedIn and stuff. Like, who is this person, this company? And that person wasn't even in Australia. That person was in India, so it was outsourcing it.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, hey, but I paid you guys. You said you have your own developers. So what's going on? And they're like, no, we have a team across the world. And look, man, I live overseas also. You don't have a team across the world. You're outsourcing this to a tech company in India. So that trust was gone. Remember I said that trust is a very, very
Reputation, character.
reputation. And the first chance they got, they screwed me with their reputation and their character. The first chance they got. Now, here we are thinking, okay, it's been 4 months. Account manager's been changed multiple times, project manager. Show me what you've done. What do you have ready? And the only thing they had done was the wireframes.
That's nothing.
Nothing. It's just a piece of paper showing me how each frame of the
PDF
app.
document.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
PDF document. Like, we worked really hard at this. Our best, designers have been on board. This is this. I think they charged me like 30 grand just for the wireframes.
That's fucked, bro.
It's something I could have gone home
And done this.
and done it on Paint. Oh, look, whatever it is, it wasn't worth 30 grand. That's just the wireframes.
So imagine when you start getting to the back
Yeah.
end and the actual functionality and actually getting the app live and getting it smooth and
I
all
imagine
that
it'd be a
stuff.
lot more than whatever you were thinking.
Yeah,
the
Steve's
bills would
more
just
like
keep rocking
200
up,
grand, yeah, something like that.
So we finally said, hey, we need to take a back foot. We're getting screwed around here. They know we're not tech guys. They know we're not into the developers ourselves. The only questions we can ask them is either questions that we've researched ourselves or questions that they want us to ask them.
Yeah.
And I said, pull the plug. Sent him a legal letter, everything, and they gave our wireframes and everything back. It's our property. And they tried their hardest towards the end. They were like, no, we're getting this new guy on board. He's an excellent developer. Like, every excuse you can think in the book, they used it. And finally I said, nah, I don't want to hear your shit anymore. I'm done with you. I'm going to take matters into my own hands now. I found some company myself and, gave it to them to do it. And they built the app, but it wasn't seamless.
Yeah.
It wasn't the way I envisioned it. And they built it in a fraction of the cost. There's a company in Melbourne. They built the app in less than the wireframes. The money I paid for the wireframes.
Damn.
But it was a functioning app. It was working, but I was like, I'm still not happy with this outcome. Took it out. This person that I met, one of my networks, he's doing tech also. So he's like, yo, let me handle this for you. I'll sort it out. We'll get it. Obviously, we've got an app that's been made by someone else, but we'll do our best to fix it and get it to that point where you want it to be. And they did it. They did bring it to from what it was to where they brought it to, it was a very major difference. They did a good job. But it still wasn't towards that vision I had.
Yeah.
Is that just aesthetically, or is it glitchy? Is it
No,
lagging?
aesthetically it was
Like,
beautiful. But it needs to be very functional. You one swipe, boom, it's done. You press back, it's back.
There's no little glitches.
There's no
in it.
it's loading and it's waiting and it's just all bugging out and you're tapping the phone screen 5 times. I don't want that. It has to be one touch, ready to go.
Otherwise, people just won't use it. Yeah.
So I thought to myself, all right, I can't launch this in the market, as it had already been nearly 2 years since the inception of the idea. And our plan was at least launch in a year. We had VCs on board. We had a lot of people that wanted to see this succeed on board. We had a lot of celebrities on board. And in the end, we just pulled the plug. We said, nah, we're not putting this into the market. If it does go into the market, it has to be the best.
Because your reputation is at stake.
Because my reputation's at stake. And I'm not gonna. Essentially, it's a service I'm providing, right?
True, yeah.
It's a product and a service.
That could fuck you in the third world.
I was like, nah, not happening. Pull the fucking plug. We're not building a half-assed app. But it taught me a major thing that, hey, I went out into the world, I built an app, I had random, VCs on board, I had random investors on board, which I'm still very good friends with till this day. We think about the whole thing and we're like, wow, that was an experience. One day a thought came into the mind and we executed it.
Hey man, better than paying for business school.
Yeah.
Or paying some business coach the same money, you're going to learn so much better
Yeah.
Yeah.
getting out there.
It's kind of like one of those things where people go to uni to study entrepreneurship.
Yeah, that's true.
It's at least from what I've gathered, it's kind of you go out there, you will learn so much more in that first year of you doing by yourself than some teacher or some university teacher telling you how to be an entrepreneur if he's not an entrepreneur himself.
What I find funny is you can go get a loan, 100 grand to go to uni, but you can't get a $100,000 small business loan,
Yeah.
Because there's no guarantees on obviously getting it back. But why wouldn't government invest in their people, or at least in their education? So the education's free.
or the education is you actually build a business, we pay for it all, and you put it out in the world, and we'll monitor it as you do it. If it succeeds, you keep it. We keep 10%.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That would be like
I guess
ideal.
the one thing I will give Australia though is like their education
10%.
system is not bad.
Yeah.
That's a deep one.
Yeah.
But I would, if I was
Imagine
a
the
student,
economy.
Yeah. It'd be insane.
The government has no say. It's nothing, but think of that 10% as a tax you're paying. Essentially, it's as a tax you're paying.
yeah. But imagine a private enterprise doing that same thing, like angel investors sort of style, you know? But you could do it to such a degree and take such very little risks that you could actually really make that work, you know? But it comes down to the person, because it's not
Yeah,
really,
it comes down to the person.
it's not their idea, it's their
Yeah.
person who's going to execute that.
It's all about, I think it gets, you'd have to have like systems to kind of help them succeed as well, to kind of ensure that they follow
A little
through
bit
it.
of
Because
insurance in case they get lazy, you
Yeah.
know, you're like, hey, look, man.
you can't just give them 100K, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you give a 19-year-old, 20-year-old 100K to go start his business, you don't know where that's going to go.
Fuck it up.
Yeah,
True.
yeah.
But if there was like a system in place that would do it with them,
Yeah, it
if
would
you
be,
had a solid plan, you would follow through with it.
yeah. And I think that would be very, very beneficial. Instead of like,
Yeah.
I mean, uni, I don't know, I think uni is very beneficial, like, don't get me wrong, especially if you're doing like medicine or if you're doing
Oh yeah, 100%.
law, if you're doing like those kind of things, engineering, that
Skill
kind of stuff.
service,
Yeah, skill service, yeah. But some things like if
You
you,
gotta
if
learn
you, yeah, you've got to learn it.
Yeah.
Like the one thing if I went back to uni and really wanted to do, I'd probably do economics, because I reckon like, if you understand economics of the world, it's just you'd have a very deep understanding of how things work and you know, everything, how things fits together. You know, like that would be
It's
one thing I
funny.
would do.
It's funny Ryan mentioned this, like, you know, the last couple of years I've actually been contemplating going back to uni.
Yeah.
And I've been contemplating going back because I want to apply the real world knowledge that we have, you know, gained over the last couple of years, and I want to apply it into uni, and I just want to see if I'm wrong or not. Wrong meaning that I want to see the examination systems, I want to see what they're trying to teach me, and I want to see what's been working for me in the real world. What do they say about that?
Yeah.
In actual fact, I probably find out you're going to be like, not you're wrong, but how wrong are they? Because you're succeeding in the business world.
Yeah.
Proof's in the pudding. If you're making revenue and you're keeping afloat for many, many years,
Yeah.
you're right. University's wrong, but you're going to find that out,
And if
I
they
suppose.
tell me that I'm wrong, or if they tell me that no, this is not the way to do it, this is the way to do it. It's just, what is going on? What is going on?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think some of the stuff that they teach are very, very outdated. Like they don't really, I don't think they review those things or the teachings as often as they should do, as they should be. I think some of those curriculums that like they need to be reviewed every 3-4 years, especially something like, especially medicine. And anything to do with like nutrition and science and stuff like that, technology. I mean, I guess technology is one of those things where regardless if you're studying computer science or something, you have no choice. It has to be reviewed.
100%.
You know, like if you're doing coding, no choice. It has to be reviewed because like every year it has to be reviewed because you can't teach a student something in like, especially in technology, in year 1 and year 2 and expect it to be relevant in year 6. It's not going to be relevant. You know, like if you think about it, like if you think about it, the time the first iPhone or the first iPod was created to the iPhone, that was what, 10 years? Like you can't. That evolution of technology is so exponential. Like whatever you learned in that first year, after 4 years, is nil.
It's nil.
It doesn't matter.
It's useless.
It's useless, yeah. You might as well just throw it out.
It's like me going back like, hey bro, do you know how to code on a Pantene Pro 3? Remember like Pantene was the big, is that a P1? Is that a P2? Is that Pantene 3? It's like me being a boss operating that. It's like, I'm so useless right now. Like, like, you know what I mean, right? Like me being a boss operating an old Pantene computer. Well, let's not even go through like a Pantene 1, you know? And operating like Windows 2.
Windows 98, like.
But I've got like a big degree in that. I've got a PhD in that. Like, mate, you're useless.
You're useless, yeah.
Like, it's zero.
You could get a cushy job in middle management though. You know what I mean? Like managing guys who know what they're doing, but he doesn't know what they're doing. Like, keep up the good work. You know what I mean? Like, he look at this, sir. He looks at it. He looks alright. He has no idea what he's looking at. But that happens, I reckon, in all the companies.
Oh,
in
yeah,
the
bro.
world,
So much
especially the
time.
big money companies here.
Yeah.
Middle managers apparently doofuses.
I was listening to some dude on Reddit. Like it was this forum, and he was like a very very young guy, and he goes to like an older company.
Yeah.
And it's like the general population of the company is like a very elderly population. So like they're using computers and stuff, and like they just didn't know. The way they were doing things was just so inefficient that they didn't know how to automate. So this young guy, he's not super tech savvy, but he knows enough to go in there and to start creating his own automated systems. So like, it was him by himself, and this guy, like this old guy, is like, he's very proud. He's like, dude, this is gonna take you so long to do. So you just chill. Like I'm gonna teach you this. So what that guy was doing, like he was literally like copying and pasting all in one click. Like Control Z, everything copied, paste, transferred over. So like he created a system where everything was automated. So for him, what he something that takes him 15, 20 minutes, it would take that guy 2 hours to do.
Yeah.
And he did that for multiple people. So like, eventually got to a point where he was so efficient, and he was doing like, what they were doing 25 hours worth of work, he was doing it in 10 because he had so many automated systems.
Wow.
Like ridiculous amount of automated systems. And then they were trying to replace him. So they got someone else, one of these dudes, to come and try and review like what if his role is necessary. And he went to the boss, and he was just talking shit about him. And he was like, you know what? Fuck this guy. I'm gonna take 2 weeks off. I'm gonna take 2 weeks off and see see how he handles it. I'm gonna unautomate everything. Okay, so everything that I automated, let them figure it out.
Nice.
Yeah.
Took 2 weeks off. And then the boss calls him in like 24 hours, doesn't pick up. 48 hours, doesn't pick up. 72 hours, this dude's like ringing. He's like, bro, we need you. Like, come on back, please. Like, they
pay review on the table, man.
Yeah, they gave him a $10,000 pay increase.
Fuck, you tripled that.
Yeah, like, he could have probably tripled that $10,000 pay increase, because this guy, I think, he just knew how to utilize technology.
He
He was a boss, man.
He knew his technology, he knew his worth, he knew his, it was just like, and he wasn't asking for too much. He was doing his job.
He was doing his job. He didn't ask for a raise.
He's doing a great job.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
He would, lift the whole enterprise.
Yeah.
If he was put in, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he didn't ask for a raise. He wasn't asking for anything,
He was minding his own
He was just
business.
minding his
And
own
somebody
business.
had just got jealous of him. He was like, you know what?
We're trying to get this motherfucker fired.
That's fucked.
And it's kind of like, and it's weird, like when you go to like, I think to me at least, one of the biggest problems we have in government right now is having a bunch of old people in government.
Making decisions on things they don't even understand.
And they don't even
And they would never
understand.
admit to it.
Oh yeah.
So arrogant.
And it's so ridiculous to me. I'm like, bro, you studied law in 1872. Like,
The Pentium 3.
Yeah.
It's the Pentium 3.
But literally,
He studied back then, and he's useless
useless
now.
now. Yeah, it's useless
It's
now.
like what you said, that manager was like, good job.
Yeah. But like, they're making laws and legislation based on technology they don't understand.
Yeah, they have no idea.
But how do they make that decision if they don't understand? Like, what the fuck is going on? There's another system at play, sort of like, sign here, do that, do this, do that, and you'll get paid this much. It must be. Because someone pulling the strings has to know what's going on. Someone somewhere knows what's going on.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Otherwise, it would
for
just all fall apart.
Well, how does it work in the third world country? Is the government, like, in terms of like technology and like innovation regulation, slower than here, or they're faster?
Way
They're faster.
faster.
Okay,
Way
they're a bit more switched on.
Sometimes corruption is a shortcut. Like, if you remove corruption from India, the whole country would fall apart, because that is the system. You know?
Okay, fair.
Which kind of makes a bit of a mess, but it's like an organized mess.
Yeah, but because India technically is pretty up there in terms of like export and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
it's like the mob running Vegas back in the day. They got shit done, but it wasn't technically legal, but Vegas was thriving, it was operating, you know?
Yeah, wasn't New York like that at one point? It was
I
run
think
with the Italian mob,
I
pretty
think-
much.
I think so, yeah. I can't.
Chicago also.
Chicago, yeah.
That's insane, right?
It's what Brett just mentioned earlier on that caught me for a second. How people, it's like they're running it. It's technically not legal, but it's thriving.
But it's thriving, yeah.
Everyone's eating. Everyone's well fed, right?
Mm.
So That's the issue. Inside of corruption, my personal opinion, there's a lot of sharing also.
Yeah.
You know, and I know this is maybe a controversial topic for a few people. Like, oh no, he says corruption is good. No, I'm not saying it's good, but I'm saying where there is a corrupt regime, they are usually sharing with their counterparts also.
Yeah.
So let's just say you're a police department. That guy has maybe got paid off for a project, like any sort of project. Got 50 grand. He doesn't keep that whole 50 grand. He'll give 5 grand to his second in charge. He'll give like 2 grand to the other guy, and then those people, they'll give the money down to their like henchmen and stuff. And it's just like a common thing that, look, if we got to do this to thrive, if we got to do this to survive, let's do it together.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
This comes down to the person's character at the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
You know. Wow, man, this is a.
It's like, you know when you go rob a bank. I mean, we've never robbed a bank, but from the movies we've seen, it's different people inside it, right?
Yeah.
Inside, like it's a van going there. Inside the van, the initial picture when someone's robbing a bank, you'd think there's a black van going with like masks on, and people are sitting in the back, and they're generally not friends either. They're just randoms from different circle that have decided to rob.
A crew that's assembled
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
one purpose.
For one purpose. Now, when they rob the bank, they all share the money, right?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, and the way they share it is like so generous, and I know they've robbed a bank, and you'd be like, oh, but they haven't worked for it.
Yeah.
They just robbed it.
Well, that's a lot of work, bro.
But it's a lot of work, but it's a lot of money also.
Yeah.
Someone who may have never seen $1 million, or not even $1 million, but like 500 grand cash in one spot in front of his eyes, and one day just sees it,
And it's his.
and it's his. He's not gonna be fucking throwing 20 grand here and 10 grand there. He's gonna be like, that's mine.
Yeah.
That's mine to take. But these people are just, wait, 20's yours, 50's yours, 10's yours, 5's yours. Let's all go eat. We're done. We're done with the job.
That's a real boss.
So
Yeah.
everyone's thrived. Everyone's made money. Obviously, I feel that the person who puts it in plan, everything, he should get a bigger cut. That's a different story altogether.
Yeah.
But everyone's being paid.
Yeah, and in the hierarchy, of course.
Yeah.
Where do you see that in the legal workforce over here? When was the last time someone came up to you? He was like, hey man, I made a good bonus today at work. Here's $100. Go buy yourself a nice meal tonight.
Nothing, man.
Nothing. Never.
Ever? Like ever?
Hardly
Not
ever,
never,
bro.
hardly,
Unless you're at a restaurant and you got tips and you split the tips up.
I'm not talking about a restaurant. You know what? You're just
It doesn't happen.
never, right?
Never.
And with people who've come across money in an easier way, whether it's from crime or
Just
working as a
or just smart business.
smart
Yeah.
business,
You can make that kind of money,
they understand how hard it is for the hustle. They understand how hard it is for someone who's going to work every day and just trying to make his ends meet. And it's no issue for that particular individual to give a $100 tip or give $10, because that might just make that person's day. That might just change how that person. You might inspire that person.
100%.
Oh yeah.
You might give them
100%.
$100 and like, damn man, is it a tip? And I'm like, yeah man, like have a good night.
Yeah.
And he's just thinking, this guy gave me $100 tip. He didn't even have to be nice to me, and he's nice to me. I want to aspire to be like that.
That's possible,
Yeah.
We've all been through a certain situation like that in our life, where whether it was we were working in all the different jobs we've done, but there was always that one good man who would come in and be like, hey, how's it going, man? Oh, he may have just bought something from you just because he likes you.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Just
That's
because he's
happened.
like, the guy's working hard.
Yeah.
I can see it's fucking hot outside. He's been running around all day. You know what? Take a few of your products. Just because he's showing some support and he's being like, I respect your hustle.
Yeah. 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 That's happened.
But did that make him a poorer person? No, right?
No.
Not at all.
The opposite.
Yeah.
And that deed is done, that kind act is done, when that person who was initially selling the product or whatever it was, he's going to remember that for the rest of his life. And when he works hard enough and gets to the level that that person was that he met, if anything, he may mirror his actions.
Of course, man.
Oh,
Plant
yeah.
that seed,
You know,
Yeah.
So where he has $100 tip to give, he's gonna be like, I've been there, I know how it is.
That's yours.
Fucking enjoy your night.
That could be a golden ticket.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, Willy Wonka? Like, that's your
Yeah.
ticket. That $100 there just changes your perception. Because like, sometimes when I worked in retail, catching the train to work, getting paid like minimum wage, I felt like honestly a slave, bro. I would trip out on the train, I'm like, wow, I'm really in this shit. Working fucking 40 hours a week in this shitty job to the city, like getting sick on the train, like for 40 grand a year, you know? And I thought everyone was like that. Because everyone you meet in your environment no one gives out big tips or shows much generosity in the city. It's like a hustle and bustle. But if someone goes out and goes $100 tip, in my mind I'd be like, whoa, how much money is he making to be able to spare that? And if he can do it, then why the fuck I can't do it?
Yeah.
You know, that belief just switches.
Yeah,
You know?
that happened to me once when I was working at Crown.
You know?
But yeah, I was like a waiter at the CC at that time, and it was just like this like hell chill like Aussie fellow. He was like, you know what, like it was, and I think he was just sitting with his wife, 8 people on the table. He was like, you know, if you keep our drinks full, I'll give you a nice tip. I was like, okay, cool. So the whole night, like you're saving the whole table, but you know, you just nice to him, you know, like but then again.
Just yourself.
You're just yourself.
You're
You're not an asshole. Like, you know, you don't treat like a client or a customer like you're an asshole. But at the same time, in saying that though, it was something that I did for all the clients anyway. You know what I mean? For all the people who were there, it was just like kind of make sure that they're happy and just gave them make sure their drinks are topped up. But on that day, I did treat him nice. You know, like, and then he gave me a $50 tip. Like that was like the first really big tip that I got, and I was like, damn.
People are generous.
People are generous, yeah. And it was like more that like after the whole thing was finished, and everyone was leaving, he waited and he looked for me. He waited and he looked for me, and he gave me the tip.
Now that is a humble man.
Brand, yeah.
You know that man. If you can get to that level in your life where you wait for someone that you know can like he can't do anything for you.
Yeah.
Essentially, right? That person can't really do anything for you at that moment. We're not talking about the future. But you stop yourself, wait for them, give them that tip you're giving them. How fucking humble would you get from that? You'd be like, dude, he did not have to wait for me.
Yeah.
He don't have to fucking give me like. He must see something in me, which I might not even see.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
He must. It's not about you just being nice, but sometimes just the smallest conversation it can really relax another person. Because you never know where that person's coming from. You never know what kind of day he's had. You never know what kind of people he's dealing with. And you're just saying, hey man, like, good one, man. He'll be like, fuck, that was genuine.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't tell me that, he didn't kiss my ass, because I get that every day. He just told me, hey man, what's up? Like, that is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. It definitely alters your perception of people a little bit.
Beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
And that happened, like, you know, when I used to work in Fast Wax,
Yeah.
FW1, still the best part, boys. Still use it on my cars. I'm not sponsored by them by any chance. Just laying that out there.
Yeah.
But we'd be working in Port Hedland, right? Port Hedland's like 52 degrees.
Yeah, bro, that's a
Heat.
trek, man.
Heat in the car park. And our whole business model was based on showing them a demo on the car.
Yeah.
Right? But it was so hot that the moment you put the wax on, it just... How do you show them a demo? We were still trying. But I remember one day I was just sunburnt, pissed off, had chafe, you know, like...
Yeah.
50-degree heat walking outside, bro.
And you
7 a.m.
got to dress pretty good as well, right? I'm guessing like suit pants tucked in.
Yeah,
you
tucked
know?
in the red FW1 shirt, belt, everything. And this guy comes out. And I was negged out already. Like that. I was already like, you know what? Is this even legal? Like, is this even legal?
I've had jobs like that.
And I was standing next to a car, right? And this guy comes out with a trolley and stuff. He's putting his stuff in the car. It was quite a lot of shopping he had. You know when you see someone struggling, you're just like, fucking hell, help you out, dude. Like, what is it?
Yeah.
Just, I was like, oh, I'll help you out, man. It's all good. He's like, no, it's all right. I was like, that's all good, you know. What are we here for?
Yeah.
Helped him out. He was like, cheers, man. I appreciate that. I was like, no, all good. And I wasn't looking for a sale. I wasn't looking for anything. I was just there, necked out, pissed off.
I just
Hungry,
wanted to help this
thirsty, sweating. You know, I've got a hideous tan. I've got sunburn. And this guy asked me, what are you doing anyway? I'm like, oh, this is just... I didn't want to explain to him.
guy. Yeah.
I was like, I'm not going to buy anyway, you know? Like,
Yeah.
like, fuck off.
Just that to it?
Nah,
So
nah.
necked out.
So necked out, you know? Like,
Yeah.
And imagine me being that necked out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm quite a positive person, I would like to imagine.
Yeah.
And me being that necked out is just... I don't want to ever see that demon again.
Yeah.
But so he asked me, and I'm like... In my head, I'm like, oh, this? You wouldn't be interested in this, you know?
You're like old Gil from The Simpsons, bro.
Gil needs this sale. Come on, Gil. And I'm like, oh, this is waterless wash and wax for your car, you know? He's like, can I see it? I'm like, sure. Sprayed on his car. We had the best demo in my life. He's like, oh, Gil really needs this sale, you know? I was like, wax on, wax off.
Mr. Miyagi.
I even ran my fingers to the pen. I was like, see that smoothness? And he's like, yeah, it's quite smooth. I was like, you want to do it? He was like, yeah, sure. He was like, it is smooth. I was like, oh, Gilbert lady. And he goes, how much is a box? And like, we're trying to sell like 1 or 2 cans or whatever, right? So
Yeah.
a box has 12 inside. He's like, how much is a box? I think a box was like $340 or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's $340, you know? And he was like, I'm actually running a car wash and a cleaning business. And he was like, this is some incredible stuff. Like, wow. He was like, and there's a lot of salt in the Port Hedland water,
Yeah.
and including our shower screens at home and whatnot, it just gets destroyed with calcium, you know? He was like, does this get it off? I said, oh, girl, it's your time to shine. This hand was trained for that day. So I went, and usually the oxidation was on the headlights of the car,
Yeah.
on the windows. So showed him a demo, bro. He got rid of everything. Everything, and he was just like, fuck. He was like, no matter what I do, I can't get this shit off. He's like, all right, let's go to your marquee. You know, we had the marquee inside the car park. We go to the marquee. And he was like, do you have 10 boxes? I'm like, 10 boxes? Like, that's our stock for today, you know? Like,
Yeah.
He's like, do you have 10 boxes? And I was like, yeah, I have 10 boxes. He's like, I'll take them all. He's like, do you take card? I was like, you're goddamn right. I pulled out the ATM machine. He was always like, I pull it out.
That's insane.
And I was like, all right, so this guy's
$3.5 grand, like right there.
like he's dropping it, you know, like
Yeah.
straight up. And I was like, upsell this guy's hand. Like, come on, upsell this guy. He's like, he's already dropping that much, man. An extra like $500 to $1,000 won't hurt. I was like, look, man, I've got a few in my warehouse, a few more boxes. Got some cloths as well. You know, I've got the microfibers, the high performance microfibers. If you want, I can get you all of them to match with all the items you bought today.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, fuck it, chuck it in. Chucked it in, did a sale, cleaned out the whole car park that day. Like, we had no stock anymore. So, there I am just cussing about life, you know. I'm just like, old Gil is broken, you know. and there this random guy comes out, and I'm just standing there, and I just help him with his shopping. And he knew I wasn't trying to sell to him. I was, because I wasn't. I just helped him with his shopping. And I was like, all right, help this guy out, he's struggling. And he's like, you know what? Let's listen to him. And somehow, some way, destiny, you call it, law of attraction, whatever you want to call it, some way, God put me in a position where out of, 7 billion people on earth, this guy comes there. to see the product which he really needs and buys all my stock.
What a fucking boss, though.
That's a good feeling right there,
Yeah.
man.
How did you feel when you left that day?
Bro, you know that meme where you're walking away and the whole building's on fire behind you?
Yeah.
And you're just like putting your glasses on and slow-mo?
Yeah.
So I was doing that with sweat patches, you know what I mean? Because it's so damn hot.
Yeah.
But it was an amazing feeling. It
Yeah.
was like, wow, this was incredible. And everyone else, obviously on board on the team, that was like, piece of shit. If he came to me, I would have got him. You know, like, no, you wouldn't.
But no one else was willing
to do
help
that.
with the shopping
Yeah.
for no reason.
Exactly. So they don't look at your work ethic, or they don't look at what you've done, or your character. I wasn't even working at, essentially. It was my character that what I've been taught as a child, what I've been taught all my life from my parents, and that help others when they need it. That opened up an opportunity for me. You don't talk to people, you don't interact with people, you'll never know. You just will never know.
It's a good
100%,
lesson.
man.
That's a life lesson right there. Yeah.
Hopefully you don't have to go through it. That heat was filthy, dude.
Oh yeah.
That
Nah.
heat was just, Port Hedland heat is nothing I've ever experienced in my life. That heat was just unbearable. Like you could feel your skin sizzling off, man. And it was dry and it was windy, but like hot, dry wind.
Oh yuck.
How do people survive in that?
I don't know.
Like the native indigenous who survived on this land? You know what I mean? Like,
They're superhumans.
yeah.
They're absolute superhumans. They survive. And
There's like no food, like they turning water into
everything's out
wine.
to kill you.
Yeah.
And you know what's scary about the native, and not even this, this land is especially with the Aboriginals, is because, if we compare, Africans, like the native Africans to the native Aboriginals, I feel that the Aboriginals, they've gone through different weather conditions over here,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like
100%.
the weather, there's messed up winter. There even snows in Australia, right? So you can see snow.
In certain
There's
parts,
messed
yeah.
up winter. There's messed up summer. There's all this autumn, this spring. They have to go through all these seasons. Being like back then without any technology, like houses, jackets, or like it was all, they were living off the land.
And there's fuck all food. Let's be honest, man. Like in terms of like, if you're gonna hunt, you're gonna hunt a kangaroo. There's a kangaroo. Are there any other like big main?
I think kangaroos, emus, goannas,
Yeah.
widgie grub, stuff like that. But
And they survived
And
throughout
yeah.
and thrived throughout all those seasons.
They have a lot more poisonous like insects and stuff.
oh wow, man, yeah.
I think that'd be the big one, Like, I guess if you compare like native Africans, yeah, like they did have like lions and shit, but at the same time, they didn't really have any. I personally, I think the poisonous insects are way more dangerous, man. Like,
Insidious,
yeah, because you can't see it, bro. You'll be asleep, and then like next minute, like it comes into your tent, and then it just bites you or something. But a lion, you'd know, like at least, I think they would be trained, or they would experienced enough to know, okay, in that direction there's a lion.
Yeah.
This is how
Fight
far it
them
is.
also.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Fight them also.
Human beings are next level, man. You got a bunch of them together with like spears and weapons who are prepared. They can kill anything.
Yeah,
You know?
and they'd be more in tune. But indeed, if it's a fucking spider, bro, that you haven't even seen, man, like that's
How do you
GG.
fight an enemy you can't see?
Yeah,
Who knows, man?
that is so aware.
You've already been bitten, and you don't even know you've been bitten because you're already walking barefoot on, you're walking barefoot on rocks and like harsh terrain. And even if you get bit, you'd probably think it's just like a.
Literally, that's
Yeah.
a little prick, It wouldn't be anything too huge.
Within half an hour, just like freezing up and your heart stopping and like you're getting internal bleeding and hemorrhaging in the brain.
It could also be just being in harmony with your environment, man. Like on a level, if you're working with the environment and you have a certain, like, you're going a little bit spiritual here, You're working with the environment, like your energy is taken care of. Like the snake needs a reason to bite you, And if you're super aware of where the snakes are, you just let us know that, or there's a snake in there, they'll take this route, or they'll make stamp a bit louder, the snake will run away, you know?
Yeah.
Because snakes don't want to attack everyone. They just want to survive themselves, you know?
Yeah.
So you can understand their psychology, then you should be able to, you know, stay clear from that, you know?
Yeah. And I think I also kind of believe it's kind of like their intention is not to harm you, you know? It's like if you go up and you're like, if you're in their domain or if you're in the area, like, or you're invading their space, then they're like, all right, cool. Then they'd have to protect themselves. Because again, it's the same for them. They just want to survive.
You got to teach your kids pretty quick as well.
Yeah.
It's interesting that like that master-apprentice relationship of like the father-son or the tribe raising the kid to survive. Like as 4 years old, they're walking. They got to know all that stuff as fast as possible.
Yeah.
That's how they learn. So people who have like, let's say dynasties or fathers who are rulers, pharaohs, or even elite business people, they come and train their family or a certain way to think a certain way so they can hand those lessons forward. I don't see much of that in our Western culture of like someone actually taking someone and giving them a real education, like street law, this, psychology, all that stuff to survive in a certain domain.
There isn't.
In Australia, someone's like, you're 18, you're out of the house. You're going to uni, you're going to TAFE, those are your
And
options.
you need to know how to pay your taxes.
Yeah. There's none of that.
There's none of that. Yeah.
You've got to pay someone to do it, and then even then.
Until you've been screwed by the tax man.
Yeah.
And you're like, but I didn't know this. Sorry, mate, you should have. That's your answer.
Mm.
You're 18. You're an adult. But like a day ago, I was literally in a different domain. I was
You're at
You're
school.
carefree.
underage.
Yeah.
You know, like 80% of the laws don't apply to me. Now everything, within 12 hours, like, you know, from being 17 to 18, everything's just changed for you now. Now you must be an adult.
Like if you commit any
I'm sure
crimes,
that-
you know, you're going to go to jail and all this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like it's interesting. It's a lot of pressure. Yeah. It's like you've got to be.
Well, especially if you want to make it too. You have a dream, you want to do something, you want to build something.
Yeah.
You're going to get a job. It's going to take away most of your capacity to, you know, expend energy.
Yeah, and time and all that stuff. Yeah, I want to ask you one thing. Like, this is something I always like to ask people, especially if they're like new parents. Given that we're just like translating onto what we just talked about, do you think like having your first child changed your definition of love?
Yeah, 100%. I know this is a cliche answer, but you know, when you have your own child, you'll understand because there's no other way I can explain to you. The only way you will understand is if you go through it yourself.
Yeah, no,
And
that makes sense.
it
Yeah.
makes you love your friends more. It makes you love well, for me, it makes me love my wife more. It makes me love my dad more. It makes me love my mum more, my brothers. It just makes me love life more
Yeah.
because I see the amount it goes into creating a kid, raising a kid, and that's a fucking full-time job.
Yeah, it is.
And if anyone says that a housewife doesn't do anything or, you know, she's not working, fuck you. Because honestly, if I have to stay at home with my daughter for a couple of hours alone and I take care of her, she's amazing, she's beautiful, but it's a stressful situation. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
So if someone says that, oh, you know, raising a kid isn't a hard job, man, you probably didn't raise yours correct then. In all honesty.
100%.
Yeah.
So, getting back to your question, that love aspect of it, you just start loving everything. And you start creating more intense bonds with the people around you, with the people you care about,
Yeah.
because you've just found a new form of love, which you've never experienced before. It's not like you're loving your mother or you're loving your girlfriend or your wife or your brother. This is a different form of love. So it's like achievement unlocked. You know, you've just unlocked a new achievement, which is probably the highest form of love. The highest. Why? Because it's your own seed. It's your own DNA in front of your eyes, standing there. And if you love yourself, you're gonna love what you've created, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And a lot of people that, you know, don't like kids or can't handle kids or, you know, I'm not judging them. There's a lot of reasons, but most of the time is because they don't love themselves.
Yeah.
And if they don't love themselves, how can they give love to anything else? So it's essentially a reflection of you, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't love yourself, you're not going to love your child.
True.
You can't get any bigger of a reflection of
Yeah.
yourself than having that a kid.
I hope that answered your
Yeah, it did.
questioning
It did. I think it was one of those things. Or even those people who say they don't like kids or they don't have kids. From what I've gathered, it seems like as people get older, people who don't have kids, it seems like their biggest regret is, I wish I had a child. Like if you ask them what's your greatest regret, like when they're
because
older,
they start loving themselves.
Yeah.
You know, you're not always going to hate yourself. Everyone goes through a time in their life where you're just not sure about life, you're not sure about yourself, and you start resenting yourself, and you may not even know it. We've all been through it.
True.
But as you grow older, you start going through new experiences, and age is it's not about age here, but it's as you grow,
Yeah.
as you start experiencing new adventures, as you start exploring your own mind, and slowly you start falling in love with you. That's when you realize, what have I done? I did want a kid.
Yeah.
Wow, what did I miss out on? What's going on?
And the contemplation of death
Yeah.
as you move into life, you know?
I think it's also like a big realization that you didn't get the opportunity to pass on the knowledge and the experience.
It's your DNA.
You had. Yeah.
It's a USB.
Yeah. Literally, it's a
Yeah.
USB.
You're plugging it into the world. You're leaving a bit of your DNA into this world. This world's a computer, right? Essentially.
Holographic universe, yeah.
Holographic
Yeah,
universe.
and your child is memory going into the computer.
So much there.
A lot to contemplate.
Yeah, it is. But it's interesting. I think I've asked people the same question. I've always asked people this question, and every single person always says something similar along those lines. Whenever I'm yet to meet someone who says, no, it's exactly the same. I think
You don't want to meet that guy.
Yeah.
What a party people do.
Should be a life-changing moment.
Yeah.
But boys, I feel like we've reached the end. It was 2 hours, so
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
we're going to end it there, man. Mr. Chowdhury, thank you, bro.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Appreciate
it.
it, man.
Anytime, man.
Thank you so much.
Anytime.
It was
Thank you for having me
amazing.
on.